Hello, fifth graders. Welcome to today's lesson, which is 1.4 multiplying decimals. You all will be taking notes today using the video, obviously, as you have already begun using the video. The way this works is you will just do it the same as if I were in the front of the class teaching the lesson. Instead, I'm on the video teaching the lesson. You're watching the video on your iPad. You should have your notes out in front of you and you should be writing down the notes as I go through them. If I'm going too fast, you can simply hit pause on your play pause it video, continue to catch up with your notes, and then hit play and keep on going. You can do this throughout the entire video. So again, you are taking notes just like you would normally in class. The only difference is you are taking notes off of the iPad instead of me in the front of the room using the television. So here we go. You all should have a piece of paper out in front of you, note paper. You're going to go ahead and start with the title. And as you can see here, the title is 1.4 multiplying decimals. So go ahead and write down the title. In the I can statement, you're going to fill in it with I can multiply decimals. And again, I'm going to keep on going. So at this point, you could probably just pause it so that you can finish writing the title in the I can statement. I'm not going to keep reminding you of that as I know you'll figure it out. After you have the title and the I can statement written, there is two main ideas in this lesson. The first main idea is called vocab, and there's only two vocab words that we have today. The first vocab word is decimal, decimal. I have three definitions for decimal. So our first definition for a decimal is a number that lives between 0 and 1. So if you think of a number line, a decimal is between that number 0 and that number 1 on a decimal, or on a number line. Second definition, a decimal is part of one whole. So if it's part of one whole, it isn't quite one whole, but it's bigger than nothing. So part of one whole means it's not quite a full or one whole, but it's bigger than nothing. And then this last definition of a decimal is less than 1, like I just said. It is bigger than 0, but less than 1 because 1 would be considered one whole. So write down all three of those definitions for a decimal, and we'll talk a lot more about that this year. Second word is place value. You did your wake up on place value already, and I think you guys are pretty good at place value. Place value is the value of a number based on its position. So when we're thinking about place value, depending on where that number lands, and you don't need to write down what I'm about to write down. Let me just change my color here. So if I have 3.2, again, you don't need to write that down. This number right here, 3, is in the ones place, so it's worth 3 total. And then this number is in the tenths place, so it's worth a total of 2/10. So that's place value. Again, you do not need to write down those two, or that number that I just wrote as I was discussing it, and not something that you need to have as part of your notes. After you have those two words written down, go ahead and draw your line, and then you guys are going to be responsible for adding in your own cheat sheet. So you need to think on your own. You're going to pause the video here in just a moment. You're going to think about what can you add to your notes that helps you better understand what a decimal is and place value. And again, no copying what I wrote. You're going to add something to your note in the cheat sheet column. So go ahead and click pause. Once you have your cheat sheet written down, you can go ahead and click play, and we'll move down to note number 2. All right, note number 2, main idea is multiplying decimals. You should have multiplying decimals written down for your main idea. And then for number 3, we are actually going to make a T-chart. So you guys are very good now at making T-charts because of what we do for Wake Up. So go ahead and make your T-chart, and on the left side of the T-chart, you're going to label it no decimal, and on the right side of the T-chart, you're going to label it decimal. So as you can see on the left side of the T-chart, we have two numbers, 29 and 18. So the factors for our problem that we're going to solve will be 29, and we're going to multiply it by 18. So you're going to write 29 times 18. And again, as you can see, those are both whole numbers. They're integers. They do not have decimal points. And then we're just going to solve it. We're going to solve it like we solved it way back in lesson 1. Chapter 1, lesson 1, 1.1. So we're going to look at our multipliers at the bottom there, which are 1 and 8. We're going to start with the 8. 8 times 9 is 72. I'm going to put down the 2 and carry the 7. Multiply these two numbers. 8 times 2 is 16, plus 7 is 23. There's nothing else to multiply, so I'm going to write down my 23, cross off my first multiplier, cross off my carrying number, put in my place value holder. This should be review for you all. Then I'm going to use my second multiplier here. This 1 is my second multiplier. 1 times 9 is 9, so I'm going to put the 9 down. 1 times 2 is 2. I'm going to go ahead and put the 2 down. Nothing else to multiply, so I simply put plus, and then I add everything together. 2 plus 0 is 2. 3 plus 9 is 12. Put down the 2, carry the 1. 2 and 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. My answer is 522. And again, you should be doing this right along with me. Our first problem we did was multiplying without any decimals. Our second problem is very similar, except for it does have a decimal point right there. So we're going to multiply the integer 29. So we're going to multiply 29, and we're going to multiply by the number 1 and 8/10. So again, we say this number as 1 and 8/10 because the 8 is in the tens place. Decimal point, we always say and. So we have 1 and 8/10. We're going to multiply that by 29. Here's the deal, friends. You don't do anything different. We're going to simply ignore the decimal point. I'm sorry. You don't do anything different than what we just did when we multiplied 29 times 18. As you can see, the digits are the exact same. Whoopsies, don't want to do that. As you can see, the digits are the exact same. This is a 29. This is a 29, so the numbers are the same there. This number 18 and this number 1.8 aren't the same numbers, but they have the same two digits, a 1 and an 8. The only difference is in the decimal number, this has a decimal point separating the 1 and the 8. So we're going to just ignore the decimal. We're going to go ahead and do our math like we would if there was no decimal there. 9 times 8 is 72. Put down the 2, carry the 7. 2 times 8 is 16, plus 7 is 23. So we have the exact same start to the problem on the right side of the t-chart as the problem on the left side of the t-chart. Cross off the 8, cross off the 7, so our multiplier carrying number. Put in our place value holder. Go ahead and multiply using my second multiplier. 1 times 9 is 9. 1 times 2 is 2. Nothing else to multiply. Add them together. 2. 9 plus 3 is 12. Put down the 2, carry the 1. Plus 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. Again, we have the exact same product at this point, except for we're not done. The only difference when multiplying with a decimal is you need to put the decimal point into the final product. The way you'll do that is you will look up at your two factors. So here are my two factors, and it looks like I have one number after the decimal point. So 29 doesn't even have a decimal point, so we don't care. So there's one number after the decimal point in the number 1 and 8/10. Therefore, because there is one total number after the decimal point in my factors, you just have to have one total number after the decimal point in your product. So you're going to go ahead and put the decimal point between the twos because that leaves me with just one number after my decimal point in my product. So again, 1.8 right here, 1.8 has one decimal point. Let me change the color here. Has one decimal point or one number after the decimal point, and then my final product has one number after the decimal point. So I know I'm kind of beating that to death, but really the only difference is you add the decimal point at the end when you're multiplying decimals. Otherwise, you do the exact same thing you do when you multiply with a non-decimal number. I'm going to move down to number 4. Go ahead and write down 647 times 99 hundredths. This time, again, we're multiplying an integer, 647 times a decimal, 99 hundredths. And we would do the same thing we know how to do. Go ahead, use my first multiplier. 9, so my first multiplier is 9. 7 times 9 is 63. Put down the 3, carry the 6. 4 times 9 is 36, plus 6 is 42. Put down the 2 and carry the 4. 9 times 6 is 54, plus 4 is 58. I'm going to go ahead and cross off my multiplier, my carrying numbers, and put in my place value holder. Use my second number, my second multiplier. 9 times 7 is 63. Put down the 3, carry the 6 again. 9 times 4 is 36, plus my carrying number is 42. Put down the 2, carry the 4 again. 9 times 6 is 54, plus 4 is 58. Go ahead, add all of that together. Again, I'm not even paying any attention to the decimal point. Put down the 6, carry the 1. My final answer is almost done. I just have to figure out where to put the decimal point. Since the decimal point in my factor has two numbers after it, this one doesn't have a decimal, so we don't care. But the decimal point in my factor has two numbers after it. Therefore, in my product, I need to go down and put the decimal point so that it has two numbers after the decimal point as well. Once you have that all done, the decimal point inserted into the right spot, go ahead and box your answer, and you have another solution. Last problem, 769 thousandths times 24 hundredths. This problem, as you can see, is written horizontally, and we know you can't solve showing work with a number written horizontally. So we're going to rewrite it so it is vertical or going up and down. The rule when writing numbers like this is you have to write the number with the most digits on top. So this number right here, 769 thousandths, has 3 digits, 1, 2, and 3, whereas the number 24 hundredths only has 2 digits. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to write the number with the most digits on top, so 0.769, and then we're going to write the number with the second most digits down below, 0.24. I'm going to write that a little bit neater, 0.24. Again, when we multiply these, we're not going to pay any attention to the decimal point till the very end. So I'm going to go ahead and do my math pretty quickly here. I'm going to go 9 times 4 is 36. I'm going to go ahead and do, 9 times 4 is 36, put down the 6, carry the 3. 6 times 4 is 24, plus 3 is 27, put down the 7, carry the 2. 7 times 4 is 28, plus 2 is 30. Cross off my carrying numbers, cross off my multiplier, put in my place value holder, and go ahead and multiply with the 2. 2 times 9 is 18, put down the 8, carry the 1. 2 times 6 is 12, plus 1 is 13, put down the 3, carry the 1. And 7 times 2 is 14, plus 1 is 15. I'm going to add them all together. We get 6, 7 plus 8 is 15, put down the 5, carry the 1. 0 plus 1 plus 3 is 4, 5 plus 3 is 8, and 1 and nothing is 1. Okay, so you guys, gals, so here's the deal. This one's a little bit trickier in the fact that when I look up at my two factors, these two factors right up here, I have to count how many decimals are after both of them. So in this case, I'm going to change the color here, 3 numbers after that decimal point and 2 numbers after that decimal point. So altogether, there are 5 numbers after the decimal points in those two factors. So therefore, I have to have 5 numbers after the decimal point in my product. So if I count over, I got 1, I got 2, I got 3, I got 4. I have 5 numbers total. So I'm going to put my decimal point right in front of the 1. And my final answer, I'm going to go ahead and box my final answer here, is going to be, I'm going to say it how you can't say it, and you'll learn about that too, and the fact that you need to say decimals correctly without saying point. But your answer is 0.18456. You would say that is 18,456 hundred thousandths, and we'll talk more about that later and how we say decimals. But the key here is, because I have 3 numbers after the decimal point in the first factor and 2 numbers after the decimal point in the second number, we have 5 total numbers after the decimal point down in our product, and that's how we know where to put the decimal. Okay, last thing, number 6, you're going to go ahead and write this down. So this is what we've been talking about the entire time. When multiplying with decimals, the answer, what we call the product, answer to a multiplication problem is a product. The answer of the product should have the same number of digits after the decimal point, as the factors combined. So again, when we look up at number 5, there were 5 total digits after the decimal point in our factors. Therefore, there has to be 5 total digits after the decimal point in our product. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. Let me change my color to black, and we're going to go ahead and draw a line down here after number 6. And then you all are going to go back up to the very top of our main idea number 2, and you have to add in a cheat sheet of your own. These notes will be turned in to me when I return back to class, so make sure you have all of these notes done for when I return back to class. And this will be on Monday for you guys. Have these notes done, ready to go, and I'll check them to make sure they're all good to go. And then that is how you multiply decimals. Good luck on your assignment, and we will see you all when I see you.